Titanfall 2. Everybody's heard about the movement, everybody's heard about the combat, and everybody's heard about the Titans. But what about the maps? The war-torn universe of Titanfall 2 is rich in potential storytelling, and while some people don't like to admit it, Apex did manage to show us some of that potential. So, hey, we're gonna dive headfirst into Titanfall 2's multiplayer maps to see just how much thought was put into the environmental storytelling. Per the in-game map description, Forwardbase Kodai is known as an old manufacturing plant with tight interiors and a wide open outside. But what were they even manufacturing here? Well, for those familiar with the Skybox and Titanfall 2's campaign, you can see that this is reminiscent of the level The Beacon. The places you see are facilities for the interstellar beacons that are used by the IMC for faster than light, aka FTL communications, throughout space. It's these facilities that make it possible to communicate between different planet systems, and it's theorized that such facilities can even make communication to the core worlds, aka Earth, possible. However, such advanced technology requires massive amounts of energy. And so, these beacons are powered by underground substations, but there is a price. As a byproduct, noxious fumes and gases are released into the surrounding low areas, which are potent enough to destroy all organic life. That's why you can see that most of the area the facilities are a part of are higher up in elevation. These gases are also the reason why these beacons are operated entirely by machines and Marvins, since it's too dangerous to keep human workers there constantly. Now, Forwardbase Kodai is one of a 3-part beacon chain, relaying between the planet Gridiron, which, fun fact, that's where Bangalore and Newcastle were born, and it's also where the final battle of the Frontier War happened, and the planet Typhon, which is the planet where Titanfall 2's campaign takes place. So don't be deceived. Despite looking like the campaign level of the beacon, Forwardbase Kodai sits on some random unnamed planet. The reason why it looks similar can probably be chalked up to the noxious gases affecting the surrounding area, but yeah, it's apparently the same skybox used in the campaign. But enough with the background, let's drop in. Alright, so starting off, it seems like we're on the west side of the map by the barracks. Now, immediately I thought this was kinda strange because I thought these facilities were automated, so there would be no need for humans to be stationed here. But then I thought about it. It sort of makes sense to station people here, since Kodai is between the 2 beacon planets, and its location would probably mean it'd be easy to transfer supplies and stuff for the interstellar beacons if needed. Going inside, we can see that this place was definitely abandoned for quite some time. Leaking pipes, cables on the floor, bullets and backpacks strewn about. Whoever was here, they needed to leave fast. It's a shame too, because they left the couch behind. It's also clear that before they left, these people were here for a while. You've got exercise equipment, bunk beds, and a dedicated locker room. These people here weren't just workers, but they were soldiers. It sort of makes sense too, since the conditions seem quite harsh here, and the word forward base can be attributed to establishing a military presence. Going back outside, there's also something that seems a little out of place, and it's these seemingly concrete barriers. After doing a bit of research, it's a bit weird to say, but these are actually anti-tank obstacles, with the design dating back to World War II no less. I mean, if it works, it works. It is strange though, because what's even the point of placing these here in the first place? Though, if I had to guess, these are probably just some extra barriers that the soldiers need to keep in an out-of-reach place to store. Moving on to the right of the barracks, we have this little building where you can see a big fat logo. This is the logo of Kodai Industries, one of the most massive and influential manufacturers of the frontier. From weapons manufacturing to also creating the Atlas-class Titan, it's clear these guys aren't a joke. If you haven't included in already, Forwardbase Kodai, well, maybe, just maybe, it has something to do with Kodai Industries. But hey, that's just a theory. Okay! Aside from that, this building doesn't really have anything that interesting besides the little tower that's covered up by a tarp. Moving on to the next building, it seems like this is one of the places that connects to the underground substation. On the top floor, we can see this object in the middle. This is known as a charge battery, or at least a version of one. While the model isn't one-to-one like in the concept art, we can see that's pretty much the same thing. Now I'm assuming this powers the pipe that goes underground, and maybe it powers the building since we got a few wires leading out from it. On the roof, if we look out towards the right, we can see what I assume is the wires and lines to the main satellite/beacon platform, much like what we can see in the beacon level. You can also see Typhon's shattered moon. We can also confirm that if we go to the edge, we're pretty high up. Now I'm pretty sure that's gas down there, but it does seem like it stretches for miles. Are the substations really that big? Or am I stupid and these are just clouds? I don't know, and I don't care. We're moving on. This building up ahead is known in the concept art as a beacon radar. If I had to guess, this building would probably be used to monitor the aircraft around the facility for general surveillance and other things. On the other side of the map, we have this structure. You'd think it would lead to some sort of facility, judging by the front, but nope, it's all rocks. What's even weirder is that there are these containers by the front with the label Water Treatment Facility? Okay, wait, so then is this thing over here that facility? I don't know, man. On top of the actual main base, there isn't actually anything too interesting besides a couple of fans and the use of what I assume to be solar panels. Dropping down, we can start to see all the cargo and supplies that would have been used to run the forward base smoothly with a cargo area in the front and back. And besides Kodai, you'll see here that there's another name present, Warneck Industries. Unlike Kodai, they're more civilian orientated through their means of shipping and manufacturing. Oh, and they make air conditioners. Wow! Now we're at the repair bay. And what confuses me about this room is, well, that. I honestly have no idea what this thing could even be used for. It has a service hatch, so that's something, I guess. But yeah, I've got nothing on this one. Anyways, who cares about that though? Because now we're at the cafeteria. Alright, what do we got? Burritos? More burritos? Cigarettes? Okay. Well, maybe this menu looks a little better. Oh, cool. They got white mocha, latte, and caramel macchia. I wish I could read the rest, but apparently the people here speak Japanese. And they still use yen, for some reason. 6.03 yen? By today's standards USD, that's 39 thousandths of a dollar. I'm gonna assume though that the period doesn't mean anything, so we're looking at a more reasonable price of $3.86. Huh, I honestly thought the inflation would have been worse. On the wall, we can also see some IMC pinups. Woo! If I had to rate this map on a scale of 1 to 10 on the interesting factor, I'd give it a solid 8. Boomtown is described as an abandoned IMC training facility set up to resemble a small town. Located on planet Typhon, this is actually just one of the many simulation domes that can be found in the IMC Dynamic Testing Facility, which, if you play the campaign, you'll know the local operations of this place were overseen by Ash. This facility would play a key part in stuff like previously mentioned, live fire training, and other things like testing exercises for IMC personnel, and the testing of experimental military hardware like the Reapers. And I want to focus on that last part. You know those militia guys you fight with in the dome in the campaign? Well, yeah, the Reapers were going to be tested on them, which sort of has the implication that the IMC were using captured militia soldiers as a way to execute and gather data from them through testing. Dropping into the map, we're immediately put onto the south spawn behind the demo building. Looking up, it's clear that this place is in a state of disrepair, and it's probably safe to say that this is after Ash ordered the place to be scuttled. Classy. Anyways, this whole back area is known as the Titan target range. I think it's pretty self-explanatory as to what was done back here if you couldn't tell from the Titan chassis lying around and the giant Titan targets, which, interestingly enough, are Atlas models from Titanfall 1. This could be an oversight on the developer's part, but I think it's just a testament to how long the IMC were here conducting their research on the planet. Another interesting detail is the amount of no Spectre signs that were dotted around back here. Guess they didn't want anything getting in the way in the middle of practice. Heading towards the demo building, we can see the word staging. This means that this building would most likely be where the soldiers or test subjects would convene and organize to carry out their various exercises and tests. And would you look at that? Bullets and equipment all over the place. You can even see a couple of rations labeled with vegetable stew with beef. Yum. Yummers. Heading back up front, you can see pilots? I'm pretty sure it looks like these guys are militia pilots, going off the colors alone, and the fact that these guys have jump kits. Were these guys in prison here just like the grunts? My thoughts were confirmed pretty much instantly, as you can also see the bodies of stalkers nearby. And a cool fact that I found while researching these guys is that the IMC designed stalkers as dedicated anti-pilot units. And seeing how there are dead pilots and also stalkers lying around, it's safe to say that these guys were doing their job. And now I want to address the prefab buildings. Well, they're actually not that interesting. They're just buildings with training dummies scattered here and there. Besides those though, there are two unique buildings. First off, we've got the Chow Hall. In what I assume is the parking lot, there are a couple of vehicles, but interestingly enough, I don't think they can fit through the two only entrances there are. And there's also this. I have no idea what this could mean, but hey, it sure does look ominous. If you guys have any idea what this says, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As for the Chow Hall itself, it has collapsed, but you can still see the remnants of machines and menus. Towards the front right side from the hall, you can see more pilots and stalkers dotted around, and wait a minute, drop pods? Surely the pilots couldn't have used these. But then I remembered, wait a minute, I forgot stalkers can actually use these too. So I'm guessing they were also testing how the stalkers would operate with the drop pods as well. In the same area, there's also another one of these weird Titan graffiti things. Very ominous. This final building though is pretty cool. As you can see here, it's known as the Crow's Nest. Now, there's nothing really special about the interior, but upon closer inspection on the outside, you can actually see decals of crows all over the building. Guess this one was a favorite of the personnel. And yeah, that's pretty much it. After all, this is just a simulation training dome, so I'm not really too surprised that there isn't anything else. But it is cool that this is one of the places where stalkers were tested, so I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 as well. And finally, we have Homestead. Located in the far reaches of the frontier lies the planet of Lemuria, from which Homestead takes place on. Despite being lush and abundant with resources, Lemuria always had a small population due to its distance from the core IMC planets, and so it would remain untouched by outside influence. At least until now. Dropping in, we are immediately set behind a building known as
the apartment.
For this property, it seems like this would be where the people would reside. On the outside, you can see these little huts, and what's interesting about these is that whoever lived here, well, they were stacking up a whole bunch of these battery blocks. That's right, every one of these crates holds batteries, but why have so many? Well, remember the settlers here were far from any core frontier world, so if they wanted to settle on the fringe, they would need to bring a lot of supplies with them. So it would make sense why they would want to stock as many of these batteries as they could have. Heading inside, you can see that whoever did intend to live here didn't finish unpacking yet, since boxes and just a lack of decoration around seems to signify so. There's also this little top area where you can drop down from, and hey look, there are the wear-neck air conditioners that I was talking about before. On the roof, there seems to be a radio tower, which I assume that's a part of what the batteries are powering. Now, I looked all over both back ends of the map, and I can assure you that there's really nothing interesting. If I had to guess, these back areas were going to be used for farming, but we already know that the person here seems to have only just moved in recently, so they probably didn't get around to doing that yet. We can see, however, a couple of cars and materials scattered about. And so we come to probably the most recognizable part of the map, the silo. At first, I was confused about why this was even here, because there's actually another one of those silos on the map that's tucked in on the outer edge. So I started sniffing around for some clues. I have found a logo for what seems to be the manufacturer of these silos, Canis Major Trading Company. While there isn't much known about them, it seems like they're mostly geared towards transporting colonization equipment to various frontier planets. And lo and behold, there's some text on the side of the silo that reads, Colonization Supply Module. Now, I couldn't find any details of what these supply modules actually contained, so it's probably safe to assume that they just had generic supplies. And considering that this is also called a silo, once the supplies had been cleared out, it seems like it would have been converted to the storage silos that modern farmers use today. It does make me wonder though, why this one is just out here on the edge. Up next, I wanted to check out the little caves. The one by the apartment didn't really have anything special, just a light and some batteries. And as I got out, I got distracted by the running water, so I wanted to see where it ended and where it began. Getting back on track, the other cave seems to be a bit more artificial. Unlike the other cave system, this one seems to have supports that are being used to keep the cave from collapsing. I think. It makes you wonder what they're doing down there, or if the supports are just there just to keep the top safe, because right above is a part of the mill. Heading up, we can see various fruits and veggies. Either these were imports, or who knows, maybe they were planning to plant the seeds of some of them. Heading across the bridge, we can see the water wheel being operated and the building it sits next to. Looking at the ceiling, we've got some containers used for something. Seems a little inconvenient to put them up there though, but hey, what do I know? Other than that, we can see the wheel clipping through the floor, and some stacks of what I'm assuming is hay, which is interesting because that means that there were plans to move some animals here. Out back, we got tarps, which I'm assuming are supplies from another module, considering we can see the same material on the top of these silos. And my god, why do they have so many explosive canisters? But then it dawned on me, these are probably propane canisters, or maybe at least something similar. Because you see, propane is mainly used for home and water heating, cooking and refrigerating food, clothes drying, and powering farm and industrial equipment. which is perfect for if you're going to be moving out to the frontier. And, well, that's actually it. While it's definitely not as interesting, I mean, at least the map looks beautiful, I will say that. This map, though, is going to be personally a 6 out of 10. And yeah, those were some cool hidden details in some of Titanfall 2's maps. I'm of course going to continue this series, but I figured it'd be cool if I took it one step at a time. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to support me, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you want extra benefits, get a YouTube membership. You can also interact with me in the Discord as well. Anyways, this has been Reach, and I'll see ya in the next one. Peace.